Hi, welcome back to my channel. I hope you'll stick around today and paint these sunflowers on a blue background. Today I'm using my SeimiArt and Sonnet watercolors. I have my watercolor palette handy. I'm using a size 6 Artegria round brush, and I also have my size 6 flat brush that I'll be using. I have my jar of water and a clean cloth for blotting any mistakes or oopsies. Let's get started. I'm going to start by just creating a rough outline of my vase in clean water. And I want this to be kind of a tall vase because I'm doing sunflowers and they're big flowers, and so I like for them to have an adequate container. Then I'm just roughing in a background, a little bit of a curved line for the top of this vase. Okay, and then I want to leave some open areas here because I'm going to do blue for the background, and I don't really want my sunflowers to take on any of that blue tinge. I just really don't. I want them to stay very much yellow. Okay, and I'll make one more pass around the picture just so it's nice and wet. Okay, for the background, I'll be using indigo. Let's see. And not too deep of a wash. I don't want just too terribly much. But just kind of roughly do that and then just start blending that out. Oh, this is going to be so pretty with the yellow. Now, I made a little goof here. I brushed right outside of my border, and I'm not going to worry about that. I could, I could try to scrub it, but I actually, when I say I'm really not worried about it, I'm really not. Okay. Need a bit more water. And I don't have a distinct plan for placement for these flowers yet. And I'll just kind of do that as I go. I don't mind this bit of texture in the background here. Actually, I think I kind of like it. I am putting a little water into this to kind of push some of that pigment that's directly at the jar. Just because I don't want that direct solid high shadow there. So I like it. I want to bring in just a little more pigment into some of these so that you just get a bit more depth in that. So far, so good. But whoever really knows. And really, who really cares? If you start to paint for the joy of it, you lose that, to some degree anyway, you kind of lose that pressure for it to turn out however. So I am going to scrub at this a little, that I didn't want to break from my background in there to do it. And I'm not doing this very hard. I'm not, you know, stressing my brush or anything, but that faded that quite a bit, and I'm good with that. Okay, so I want to go ahead and go in with my yellow deep is what I'm using for the yellow. And I'll take my size 6 round for this. I like to get plenty of this yellow ready because I know when I'm doing sunflowers, I really do know that I'm going to use plenty of it. And I seem to have a little fiber possibly in my paint. We'll just see. It may not be. It may just be kind of a crack there. Okay. Now, I want to start really rather loose with these sunflowers, and I think just based on the background that I have here, I will probably do maybe 1 or 1 and 2 here, 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 maybe here and here, and then maybe some, you know, petals out here. So I think I'll start right here. And again, since I'm working soft and I'm just kind of getting some ideas of flowers ready, I'm not going to work on any kind of meticulous anything. This is just meant to be a loose interpretation of these sunflowers. Maybe just a little extra one up there. Okay, so now those are really, for me, just the centers that I want to pull pigment from. So those are they're very puddly. And now I just want to take my clean water and brush in these petals. Not being perfect, not perfectly spacing them, just keeping this very loose, not worrying if they overlap. It's really okay. Okay, and it's okay that these are overlapping this background some, because just trust me, it's going to add some depth and be fine. The only thing I'm not sure I'm going to be crazy about is that somewhat green that's going to happen from that. But, you know, you win some, you lose some. I don't know if it'll be great or not. And it's okay either way. Have you ever heard anyone less certain of their abilities? You know, the truth is, and I feel like this is important because I certainly, you know, some of the accounts that I was inspired by when I started painting as a pandemic artist. So now just, you know, so you honestly know who I am and my qualifications, which are none. But, you know, when I started and I was following these accounts, I really had this impression that these were just all naturally gifted people who, you know, never had a bad painting. And it was so refreshing, I think, to see one artist that I started following. She does landscapes, Amber Lane, and she was Mama Thing Crafts, I think, when I started seeing her work. But it was really refreshing to me to see that she talked about how many things she threw in the trash, and I thought, so she throws things away too. And you know, it just helped me in a big way. It just validated something that I had been trying to just live in my artwork, which was, you know, not trying to present some idea of, you know, I have this all figured out and it always goes right, but really that you know, sometimes there are days when literally I don't have a keeper in the bunch. That is no lie. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not saying that to make anyone feel better or to be self-deprecating. That is the honest truth. So all that to say that, you know, when I say I don't know how this is gonna go, you know, most of the time it's my first attempt at making some idea that was in my head and trying to get that on paper, and I don't know how it's gonna go. And it's okay if you don't know how things are gonna go, and it's okay if it doesn't go the way you have in your head. Sometimes those happy little accidents, as Bob Ross would say, are magic. So yeah, there you go. There's our philosophy lesson for today. And that was free. I hope, you know, everyone's been so gracious, but really, if the sermonizing is just too much, I get it. And I can't promise I will try to curb that, but, you know, maybe miracles can happen. Okay, I really like what started here. I want to go in with some background greenery, and so what I think I'll do is just take a real light wash, and I just want to start in these places where I have a lot of white. I feel like I can just kind of make some leaves that are kind of just faded and in the background, because I will have some leaves that are, you know, deeper and darker, but this way we've got some of that background texture, and yeah, I like it. It's fun. Okay, I like this. If you're painting, I hope that you're having as much fun as I'm having, because really this is going even better than I thought. Okay, and you all know that I like asymmetry here, so you know, I'm not going for things that are the same on this side, the same on this side. And I don't mind any of those bleeds that happen. We had some yellows bleed into the greens, some greens bleeding into the yellow. It's all good. It's all good. I'm just gonna brush some little green strokes in here. And this is a really, really light wash of this, but And I don't mind this white. I don't want to give the impression that I'm trying to eradicate it, because I'm not. But I am trying to give some, maybe some layers in there, just some more texture. Okay, like that. Gosh, I like this. I'm so glad I went over some of that with my yellows. It's really going well. Okay, and quite a bit of this is pretty dry, although if you see right here, that's still rather wet, so I'm gonna kind of avoid that currently. And I just want to overlap some of this yellow, making more petals in these sunflowers. And if you ask me, the key to this, now this is just me and me personally, but I think one of the keys to these sunflowers is not to get too precious about any of it. Just kind of keep them messy. And in this overlapping, make a few little, you know, things that are very petal looking, and then things that are just kind of slashes. And I like to make these little things, just little, I don't even know what I would call that, these little slash marks. I'm kind of making some crescents in there, and then I guess those are kind of some very skinny crescents, maybe. And it's easy to overwork these, and if you do, you know, you can just kind of dab at them, dab at your petals with your, if you're like me, you keep a cloth handy for just such an occasion. Okay, I like, very fun. Just overlapping these. I had to take a second look at this cluster here and figure out which places were flowers. I could not remember. And it's a little abstract looking to just try to look at it and figure that out. So, all right. And I do like to do some of these little overlapping flowers. I like to do them smaller, just because I feel like I've kind of seen that, and you know, I feel like it works. It's okay. Again, not, you know, not stressing over this. If yours are like mine, you'll reach a stage where you think, oh dear Lord, this is horrid. The best advice I can give you, and if you've seen my other sunflower tutorial, you'll know what I'm going to say, but it will get better, especially when you put in your dark centers. It's just gonna make all the world difference. And so, you know, hang in there, hang tough. You haven't messed it up. It's just going through that junior high phase where it kind of doesn't know that it's pretty yet. Just doesn't know. Okay, like it. Easy to overwork this, so I may have done that, but I'm not going to worry about it. Okay, I like it. I want to go ahead and add some dark olive leaves. Just going to go, and listen, these I like to overlap some with the leaves that are there. You know, I want a lot of depth in this. I like that. I like that little bleed. It just worked really well. And, you know, there's no right or wrong way for these leaves. I like to make sure I'm going back and forth to kind of balance my tones in here. I want to make sure that if I have dark over here, I have dark over here, you know, not necessarily in the same place, but so that I don't have just one dark area. I have done that, and it's never fun. It's always, for me, the thing that grabs my focus and makes me go, oh, what was I thinking? Why did I do that? And nobody wants to do that with their art. Don't do that. Just enjoy the process and be okay with however it goes. Okay, this is probably a lot more greens than I usually place in here, but I'm really liking it. It's very much working for me. So this is the look we're going to have today. Okay, I like it. Yep. Okay, and then just layering in some that are, you know, just bits, just things that are peeking out. Whether they're, you know, stems or whatnot, it doesn't really matter. Okay, and then I want to do some of these, you know, whatever, these just little loose tendril kind of things. I like to try to keep that real light, and you know, but it's easy for my hand to get a bit out of control with that, so not to worry about it. And those don't have to be, as you can see from my feeling, or from what I'm doing. Oh, you can see from what I'm doing that I don't prioritize those having a continuous stroke. You know, I don't mind them being a little broken. So you can do that too. You can skip these all together if you like, but I like that, just like that. And then I'm going to go in here, and I'm still going to be careful over here and over here to kind of try to avoid too much bleeding. But I'm going in with my dark brown. Now this dark brown is so pigmented. I mean, they are not kidding. When they call it dark brown, they mean dark brown. And I'm going to start dotting in these little centers, and the reason I want to dot them is because I still want to see some of the white or yellow. Either way, I'm not trying to make these perfect ovals. I don't really want the dots necessarily perfectly spaced or anything like that. Like, it's okay if they're messy, I actually prefer them a bit messy. And just being aware of the direction of my flower and kind of creating that center to be an oval that's going that direction, if that makes sense. So I don't usually do these in a circle because I want them to be, I want the flowers to be leaning or tilting another direction rather than just being center on at the viewer. And then to go along with that, I usually don't make these centers centered because I want them to be either higher or lower depending on if the flower is tilting somewhat away from me, then I will usually have that center a little lower, higher maybe. I think it just depends. This is drooping down, and so I'm just kind of thinking of where I think my petals would be in relation to that center. But see what a difference that makes? The centers make all the difference for these. They really just, they bring them to life, I think. And it's easy for me to get kind of in this tense situation with these. Like I don't know, I think I just kind of, it's easy for me to tense up, and so I think it's really good here when you're just doing something that's so small and maybe it feels kind of deliberate or whatever, just to kind of change your position a bit and maybe loosen your hold on the brush just a bit, just to loosen things up. I try to think about the tension in my shoulders and neck, and just kind of relax that. Oh gosh, I like these. I've been doing a lot of sunflowers this summer, and every time I say, oh, I like that, or you know, something, I think, I wonder if Van Gogh was like that with all those sunflowers. If he was like, I like that. Just gotta allow me my moments of silliness. Okay, really liking these, really. And after I finish this one last one, the center, I will go back and add in probably one more layer of petals. I maybe did not mention that I'm painting outside today, and it is so nice. It is hot, but it's very nice. Okay. I almost always go back thinking these centers need to be just a little bigger. Okay, love it. Love. All right. Now I want to go in with my raw sienna, and you know, just depending on what seems to happen and you know how things go, I don't know if I'll keep these just a really light wash so that the value is very light. We'll just see. I want to kind of avoid where I have really wet centers, which seems to be just about everywhere right now. So maybe instead of working on those extra layers, which listen, you could go ahead and do, and you could let the centers bleed somewhat into the petals that you brush in, and that's a choice, and nothing wrong with it. I don't know that I want that much today. That with that dark brown, it easily for me gets out of control, and I don't always love that. And so I think I'm just kind of trying to avoid the that happening, you know, the bleeding of just those centers and all that. So now let me tell you honestly what I'm doing here with these leaves that I'm just kind of darkening up. I didn't love how much we could see this little swath of blue here, and so I just wanted to you know, by adding some darkness there, I wanted to kind of take the eye away from that, hopefully. And you know, just still kind of brushing in some little petals. These are leaves, excuse me. Shape is quite similar, so. But yeah, so many layers. Really like that. And I'm outside, so there are flies. Okay, I'm gonna take my indigo and just brush in a deeper shadow beneath the vase. And then I just want to take some water and brushing that off of my brush. Just want this to kind of blend and bleed and just kind of loosen up there. Okay, I like that. And that brown is quite a bit drier, so just gonna go in again. This is raw sienna, but any kind of golden brown, you know, you could mix your yellow and your brown and come up with a color like this. I think it maybe has a little bit of green in it, just a tiny bit. And some of these petals I will do behind existing petals. I'll overlap them. It's not a science. Just want to have some layers in here, and don't care about perfection. And I don't care if some of them are really darker. I think that that's something I tend to see in these like wild sunflowers that we have in our area. And so I like the look. I'm using a lot of this. I'm gonna brush these down because I remembered that I kind of didn't have petals back there. I was kind of making them droop forward, but it is what it is, and it's fine. It really is. Okay, take a little more of that. So I've really used almost all of it. And just overlapping and kind of brushing behind. It's all this really is right here. And that's just fun. I feel like, you know, between this and the dark centers, these flowers really just, they really just liven up. And I feel like, you know, this gives them that look of, you know, fading and having been in various stages of blooming. I like it. Okay. I had an ant on me, on my foot, because we have had some ants this year, let me tell you. Okay, I love this. And I feel like, you know, just kind of coming in to some of those white areas, not obliterating everything. We're not trying to fill every spot or anything like that, but just coming in and filling a bit here and there, just a brush stroke. That really just changed that. So honestly, I think that this is done. I think that this is just pretty much perfect. You could, if you wanted, this could be a clear jar and you could paint your stems in, a water line, and just kind of fill with that. You could certainly paint a little decoration on the vase, but I'm just leaving this as is because I love it. I'm happy with it. So I hope you painted this with me today. I hope you enjoyed it, or that you'll save it for later and try it. And as always, happy painting.